Good news, I got the wheels off, so we can start taking this fender liner out so I can start accessing the throttle body, the timing belt, or I guess the drive belt, and also the pulleys, so we can start taking the cylinder head off. Let's get in there. Magic. So now that we have access to the fender section of the car with the fender well removed, we can now see that in here is where a belt tensioner pulley thing that basically adjusts to the water pump pulley and the actual main drive pulley. Because there's no pulley system there, nothing is causing this car to be movable. So let's continue to take more things off to see what else is damaged in process of trying to get this thing to run. Definitely gonna need some new rotors. Put that on the list. Pads don't look horrible, but why would I keep pads if I'm replacing rotors? Always replace your pads with rotors. It's a good rule of thumb. All right. Somewhere is where I want to be. All right, intake manifold out, baby. Let's get to the rest of this hullabaloo on the back end of this motor. This is a catalytic converter. It just so happens to look like a downpipe. It's the same thing. But either way, I'm gonna replace this and get a free flow high performance catalytic converter that doesn't decrease my boost numbers while still protecting the environment. Because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. Now, back to the show. Just a couple more things to take off here. We have this little heat shield, we have this bracket, we have the turbo, we have the exhaust manifold, and the oil filter housing. Once this jazz is all off, we can get rid of the oil, we can raise the motor, we can disconnect the motor mounts on just this side, and we can start lifting the cylinder head. So let's do it. Oh no. I've disconnected the oil feed lines and the coolant feed lines and the return lines off of the turbo. So we can now start disassembling turbo from the cylinder head. All right, let's see if we got any surprises under here once I take this off. Hopefully we don't. If it is, it would be oil. So fingers crossed.
Wow.
Bone dry. You can eat off that surface. I'm not, but I could. Yeah, this thing look good. All right now, Mini Cooper N14, BMW's worst motor in existence. But hey, you doing good so far. Keep it up. All right, last few on this turbo. I'm just gonna keep each bolt and washer in here so I'll know what to resize it with when it's time to buy new parts. Turbo is out. Doesn't look bad. Needs some cleaning. Put on a nice little purge valve when it's time for reassembly. So far it's looking up. Let's keep up the good work, Mini Cooper. This is our exhaust manifold gasket. Don't look too bad. Nice little cleaning will do the trick, but it's not bad at all. I don't see any oil leakage from here, so that basically tells me the head gasket is in decent shape. Let's continue taking all this stuff off. Yeah, this is definitely gonna need some replacing. This is very soft. If any, yeah, this is basically the oil return line. This is the oil feed line to the turbo. This basically returns everything back to the motor. And if this is weak, like a worm, this is doing absolutely nothing and will eventually have a hole. I would honestly say this coolant return line as well. This is very soft, but in regards to the metal components, actually no, this is bad as well. This shouldn't have as much play as it does, but this can stay. This oil feed or this coolant feed line can stay. This is leaving. I'm going to take it off now. Before we start taking the cylinder head off, let's start by removing this oil filter just to see how bad this oil is to begin with. We've already drained. Let's remove the filter. The moment of truth. How bad is this filter? If I can even get it off. There we go. Oh yeah, no, this is cooked royally. Waffle House fried over hard. Golly. They just don't believe in oil changes in Tennessee, I guess. Well, that's garbage. Let's take a peek inside. Oh, not horrible. Not bad in the slightest. Oh man, just imagine if I dropped that oil pan. What all the wonderful things will come out of it, given the state of this disgusting filter. Hey, look at that. Just things are falling off. This is horrible. To the dumpster this goes. Close enough. All right, so I pulled the oil filter housing off, and it looks like there isn't much but imagination for the gaskets. I'm kind of glad I pulled them. There's a little bit of gunk in here on the coolant side, but so far overall it's intact. We can still reuse it, but it's gonna need a good bit of cleaning. And here's the oil filter housing cooler. Looks pretty gunky. So I just pulled that off. Gonna take these gaskets off and clean them eventually after I clean up this mess that I've made removing this. High pressure fuel pump gas line is now disconnected, so I can pull the fuel rail out and get this high pressure fuel pump out. Let me start taking other things out and we should be good. High pressure fuel pump out of the car. This will need to be wiped down thoroughly and maybe replace the O-ring, more than likely, but I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm gonna set it to the side and deal with that another time. All right, now we can start taking the actual thermostat out with the thermostat housing built in together. This will also need to be replaced because this is junk, in addition to the water pipe and water pump. Let's get this out of here. Oh. Thermostat is out of there. Look how disgusting this is. All this gunk and goo and oil mixture. Yeah, this is going straight to the trash. Yeah, look at that, already still making a mess. Might keep this. Not sure why they replaced this with this and left this. So I might just chuck this entire thing, but this is for sure going. I'm going to just take this off now. Save my time for later. Just take this little vacuum pump off of the exhaust side here. Yes. Not sure if this is good. It's got a lot of play. Yeah, this might need to be replaced as well. Friends, followers, subscribers of all, we have done everything we could and removed just about everything from the top end of the motor. We can now start working our way to pulling the cylinder head off. But before we do that, we have to raise this little bitty motor up with my jack. So it's more jacking time, apparently. Little update for you guys. I have pulled the water pipe out that connects the water pump to the thermostat housing, and I found this little goo in there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's nice and gray and pasty. So I'm not necessarily sure where or why or even how. Any possible word you can think of, I don't know. So I'm going to start taking the rest of this stuff off and then take that water pump off to see how bad it looks in there, and hoping it's not anywhere in the motor, because that would be a big letdown. So I'm not gonna let it discourage me yet because I don't know. So let's keep on where we're at to make further progress, because I gotta know, we gotta know. It's gonna happen. We're gonna figure it out, because the last thing I want is to just chuck this entire motor project and all the above. So let's continue. Guess what? It is time to remove the cylinder head. I have removed both cams and every single head stud. So let's lift her up and see how it's looking. Hopefully nothing too bad. All right, let's put it on the little table and see what's going on. Let's take a look at these pistons, shall we? Nice and oily. Got a timing chain guide. The other one's on the floor. Would you like to look at that? These are supposed to go in like so, but there's no plastic locking mechanism around it. That fell off somewhere else. Pretty sure it's down there in the oil pan. Eventually, if necessary, I will remove it and take any bits and pieces that aren't supposed to be in there. So come check out the pistons. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this. This looks horrible. You see all that buildup in the piston walls right there? If that isn't correctable, then I might just have to chuck this and get a new one, because this is pitiful. That'd be good. Yep, I knew it. Okay, got some crud in here. Overall, not too bad. Typical abrasion and carbon buildup on the exhaust valves. Each one looks seated very well. Yeah, I really need to know what's going on the actual motor, because it looks pretty bad. Hello. This concludes episode 2 of the $800 Mini Cooper build series. I have successfully removed the cylinder head from the car. I've removed the cams, removed the cam caps, removed just about everything, including the water pump and pipe. Noticed a lot of sludge in the car where coolant should be, and that's another thing, it should be blue. The coolant that was coming out was green from the reservoir and the radiator, but from the block it's literally a gray sludge, and that's not supposed to be there. So my next step is to figure out how to flush the entire motor, start taking this apart, seeing how bad these valves are, how bad the springs are, how bad the rockers are, and just make a shopping list for what all is necessary to purchase to start putting this thing back together, because it's almost springtime. I'm ready to start driving something fun instead of my Tacoma, you know? So that kind of wraps up this here episode. Until next time, deuces. Stressful.